Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EX Conversation. In this episode, I sit down with Rachael Knowles, who's head of internal communication in EMEA for Flight Centre. And we get into the diverse content preferences of the workforce today, and also how you create a culture in organizations which is very friend-like and drives high performance. So let's get into it. Hi, Rachael, and welcome to the EX Conversation.
Hi. Good to see you again.
And you. It's actually been a while since we've chatted, but we've worked a lot together over the years. And so I'm excited to have you on. I always start by asking my guests, tell me a little bit about your kind of origin story, how you started in the industry. I know yours goes quite far back as well. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. How far back do you want me to go? So
So
I
I know you work at Flight Centre currently, don't you? And it's not
I
your
do.
first time working for Flight Centre. So I know there's like a good place to start there.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go a bit further back than that. So
Oh,
I
nice. Okay, cool. It's your story. So yeah.
I studied drama at uni, which I think everyone needs to do because it really gives you some life skills.
Yes.
Straight after that, I decided that it wasn't really going to serve me or do much for me career-wise. So I decided to do a journalism diploma, and I was a journalist for about 6 months after the diploma. So it didn't really last very long, but I definitely learned some key skills on that, and really, really enjoyed it. But then I decided there were not the stories that I was covering. I was working for a local newspaper after that. They weren't
Mhm.
particularly riveting. And I wasn't really able to pay my rent at the time.
Yes.
So I decided to become a travel agent. I just thought maybe I'll just do this for like 6 months and that's it really, and then try and get some money back, and then I'll figure out what I want to do next. And this was at Flight Centre, which is an Australian travel company. Big company in Australia. You may not have heard of them over in the UK, but you'll see sometimes like their red shops on the high street. Anyway, that's what I was doing for about 4 years. Ended up staying, yeah, 4 years, which is a lot longer than I expected. And yeah, we can cover like the culture at Flight Centre a little bit later, but it was definitely the culture and the people that kept me beyond those initial 6 months that I thought I'd be there. But eventually, yeah, the travel bug got me, and I ended up deciding that I wanted to experience living in a different country for a while. So I upped and I left to go and work in Dubai. And this was in about 2017. So yeah, and I was very lucky in Dubai. It's definitely who you know that gets you where you need to be. So I was very lucky to meet my next boss, Christina, her name was, and she gave me my dream job. Pretty much, I ended up working at Atlantis the Palm, bringing back my journalism skills and getting a job there as an internal comms manager, which I'd never done before. But she had absolute faith that I could do it. She loved the whole journalism aspect, and I agree. I think that is a really good sort of skill set to have and to take into internal comms. And yeah, she believed in me, trusted me, and we did some amazing projects there. Um, Budget was pretty much endless,
Yeah,
which dream, and we did loads of wacky stuff. And yeah, it was a dream come true, really. Looking back, it was such a fun time. Just loads
that
of
was
weird
where I
wacky
first
stuff.
met you.
It was. I
Yeah.
wasn't working there at the
Yeah.
time anymore, but I knew the resort well, like the back of my hand. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was such a good time. And after a couple of years there, I ended up moving to Kersner International, which is the parent company of Atlantis. Not only Atlantis, but also One and Only Properties, and a few other well-known properties in
Rare
Dubai, such
finds.
as Rab Al
Uh,
Shams.
I'm,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
and
testing my knowledge now.
very good. We didn't
One
that
and only Cyro, Rare
Yes,
Find,
yes, yes.
Atlantis. Yeah.
A sort of lifestyle, health and wellness brand, hospitality brand. Um, so yes, so I was at Kersner, basically leading internal comms for about 3.5 years. And then, yeah, that's when I met you and you came over and we did the iconic Kersner case study
Yes.
with Unily, which was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
That was the coolest thing I've done in my 7 years at uni, I
Oh,
think.
really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I think so. Myself and Casey came over to Dubai. Like, we knew like the story was iconic because like a the venue is great. It's like customer experience, but not just like any customer experience. It's like so elevated,
Yeah.
and um working with you as well, like you were able to like pull everything together. Like usually when we do these case studies, it's like always an uphill battle to get like people that are real advocates that can pull the right people together, get things booked. And like we
Mm.
just got to Dubai and like everything was perfectly organized. And then when like sometimes you look back on stuff and like that was great, but when you're like in the moment, I'm like, this is a great case study and I can't wait for this to go live. And I still look back on that and be like, that's probably the best case study we've ever done. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
We spoke to so many different personality types, didn't we, and
Mhm.
roles. Yeah, the onus was really on that sort of like customer facing role, which, so with 70-80% of the people working in Atlantis were customer facing. And it was about how we connect with those people on the front line, the chefs and the lifeguards and yeah, you name it. So yeah, hospitality is a beast when it comes to engagement. So but yeah, it was a really fun time. It was great. And
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely helped that I worked there. You learn the resort and the property, yeah, like the back of your hand.
Yeah. So
Um, yeah, it was really good.
let's talk about the case study a little bit more because this was one of the first kind of working with you and being and filming on site and hearing the story all the way from. I literally remember speaking to, I think, like a lifeguard in the like the aqua park of Atlantis, and then like 30 minutes later speaking to someone from the C-suite and just like hearing this kind of like alignment between the people and the passion to do with like how the technology brings the people together. But for
Mm,
me, like the standout part of that story was, as you mentioned, like this kind of like customer experience element. And for me, it was the first big project that I'd seen that like really tied what internal communicators do to guest experience, customer experience, and like um also not just that, but also like understanding like what the business needs at that time and kind of pivoting based on that. Of course, there was like Atlantis the Royal that launched, and um
mm,
kind of like
mm.
there was a big way that the technology and internal comms supported that launch. Can you tell me a bit more about that? Because I think that was really cool. So I do actually know because I was there, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's where do I begin? Well, the reason we were able to pull that together so smoothly was because, that's what we had to do as internal communicators in such a crazy, massive resort like that. It was every single day was constantly, running over to the water park and getting interviews with the lifeguards and then straight onto a buggy and going to, I don't know, a new restaurant that was opening and doing a
yes.
food thing there, as you do. And then another thing was going to the salon and just, I don't know, getting someone to just blow dry my hair quickly before I'm like doing a town hall in the evening in one of the so you had to really know the property so well. You had to know the people so well, and really form those relationships and those connections with them, in order to produce that content.
It's obviously like a very different type of place, but like um there was kind of this idea that like internal comms would support great customer experience
Right.
and
Yes.
help elevate that. Like, how did you get involved in some of those elements?
Yeah. Well, if you remember, on our intranet, it was called iConnect.
Yeah,
Still is called iConnect, I
yeah.
believe. So we ended up It was it was literally a one-stop shop for every single thing. So from booking your leave to, viewing your payslip to if you were a lifeguard, you would go on there and view your roster and see which area of the water park you were covering that day. We managed to embed it into every single department's, area and, get rid of so many old outdated processes in the end so that that
Hmm.
was and then every single colleague pretty much, I mean, we had 90% adoption, which was
Yeah.
crazy for a
Yeah.
resort like that,
Hmm.
where there were so many customer-facing people, but every 90% of people pretty much had it, installed on their phone, whether they had a personal phone or a work phone. Um, it became an essential tool to log into and to know what you're doing that day and access your timetable or access, um, I don't know, being able to book your next trip through there
Hmm.
because we had such great, deals to book trips at other Kerzner properties. So they were
Yeah.
all uploaded on there and, you could go on there and just in your spare time, you would go on there as well. We would see from the data that people would go on there, even when they were visiting other countries, when they were back home visiting family, it really became an essential part of their, yeah, work and life.
Yeah.
Sorry, work and life outside of work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, and I kind of saw that as well. It's like it was like ingrained in like everything they did. It wasn't like just like something you went on in the morning or at the end of the day, but it's like the
Oh.
touch points throughout the whole day, which was so cool. You thought about the whole journey.
Yeah, and looking back, I think I maybe I took that for granted a little bit. I don't know. It's strange because it's a very special thing to have that amount of people who are customer facing to go on to an app like that, an exploit an employee experience platform and to use it in that way. It's very,
Yeah.
very unique. And
Hmm.
um, I look at that as an example of like, it's a true success story.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's something that I aim to achieve again in the future somehow, but it was just very special.
Yeah, it was very special. And yeah, I loved even being like a small part of it and trying to capture it as well. So thank you for that. So where are you today?
So, um, after about 3.5 years at Kerzner, I was looking to bring my little family back to the UK. So in my mind, I was like, so I haven't really spoken about Flight Centre much, but in my mind, I was remembering how I felt at Flight Centre, and I was just always so amazed that I ended up staying there for so long, and I knew it was always about the people and the connections and the way that people at Flight Centre feel like family, and I've spoken
Hmm.
to so many people since I've been back at Flight Centre, spoiler alert, and,
Yeah.
and they all say the same thing. I mean, there are people here that have been here 25, 30, 40 years, and their colleagues become such a big part of their personal life as well. And there's so many relationships in Flight Centre and marriages that began here as well. It's really quite an ancestral company in that way.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. And yeah. The connections, it's just unbeatable, and, the culture and the irreverence and how people don't take themselves too seriously, that genuine place that you feel safe to be your authentic self, and I'm not just, like, saying that, I'm not reading it from a script, it is
Yeah.
genuinely a feeling that you wish you could capture and take, to every other company you end up working at. So, yeah, while I was in Dubai, obviously, working at Atlantis and Kerzner was amazing, but I always thought back to that feeling, that bottled feeling that I always had at Flight Centre
Yeah.
where you could really be your authentic self. And I just thought I was like, when one day the ideal situation would be if the head of internal comms role comes up at Flight Centre, I would grab it and that would be mine, and I'd move
Yeah.
back to the UK. And literally like a month later, that happened. And yeah,
Did you
it was so
manifest it?
good. It happened. So yeah, it's that easy. You just wish something into existence and it
Yeah.
happened. So I applied for it, and I made the job mine and I came back.
Nice. What was it like being, because obviously the last time you were there, you were in a travel agent role, you were kind of customer facing, and now you're kind of in this
Mm.
kind of management position in a way, leading internal comms after like a whole journey in internal comms. So, what was that jump like? Was it like, did it feel like a different company or did you get straight back into it?
Oh, I mean, I thought it would be, just jumping straight back into the same company that that I'd left.
Uh-huh.
And of course, it wasn't gonna be that simple. So obviously, I was going in thinking, I've been that person before that I'm communicating to now. I've been that consultant that's super time poor and, constantly on the phone to customers and yeah, but I know what that's like, and I know what those people care about and what they wanna hear. Um but, you know, uh, I was probably wrong, a little bit wrong anyway. The company had changed so much, the world had changed so much,
Hmm.
uh, and I was in a bit of a false sense of security because I had been living in the Middle East and really not much really changed over there during COVID.
Yeah.
We were in lockdown for a small period, but especially like working in hospitality, no, like everyone went back to work very quickly. Things
Yeah.
just, yeah, just went back to normal pretty much overnight. And it was a very different state over here in the UK. And yeah, everything went on a lot longer. So yeah, I came back into flight center and definitely things had changed. Hybrid working, much more of a thing now. So I had to get used to that. And people, I just think in general, people expect a lot more from their workplaces, and rightly so.
Hmm.
And you've just got to be, I don't know, I had to be more careful with the tone and um, the way that we asked questions and the way we had to sort of really consider, home workers versus people in the office. And there was just so
Hmm.
much more to consider than when I was a consultant back in 2014 or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, lot to learn.
And a lot to learn. Um, this next section is all about trying to unpick a topic that's maybe a trend in the industry or something that you want to deep dive on. What's something that you're kind of thinking about in your role at the moment, and what have you brought to the table?
Okay, no, it's a good question. I am starting to fall out of love with a particular trend. And I know we're doing wrong right now, but yeah, bear with me. Um, but
Is it
podcasts.
podcasts?
Exactly.
Oh no.
No, no, this is very different, obviously.
I'm sure it is. That's all we have time for, folks. So yeah, I think tell me a bit about that, because I do love a podcast, but I know everyone's not the same. So how did you come to this conclusion?
I love a podcast too. I love a podcast too, and it's just it took me a while to come to this conclusion. I have been very married to the idea of podcasts for a really long time, and in Kersner and Atlantis, I was constantly trying to make podcasts work and video
Hmm.
magazines, particularly at the moment podcasts because it's such a big trend, and literally pushing them down people's throats. And it's just I've come to the conclusion I give up. It's just not working.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter in every single workplace. It doesn't matter where I've tried it. It's just died a bit of a death.
Hmm.
And I think that's because I've worked in very, very heavily customer focused, uh, you know, companies and
Hmm.
work. So it's also partly the nature of who I've been working with and what kind of
Hmm.
people. But just consistently low open rates, low average watch times, and, I know they're on trend, and you get, business leaders coming and say, "Yeah, we need to start a new podcast. We need to, have this person on, and, you need to get some of those fancy mics and stuff," and
Hmm.
and, they love it. They wanna jump on it, of course,
Yeah.
and, they wanna be seen and, to have that really high-tech setup and, be the one appearing on LinkedIn and having that podcast. But,
Yeah.
there's a certain time and a place for it, and, LinkedIn and Spotify, that's the perfect place for it. That's where this podcast is gonna be, and that's
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
I'm gonna go on that platform in my downtime when I'm at home or when I'm on my commute, and that makes sense. That fits perfectly with people's lifestyle. What doesn't really fit perfectly is a 45-minute piece of long form content. Um,
Hmm.
in the workplace when I've got a customer coming in to sit in front of me in 5 minutes time, and I've got another one that's calling me back on the phone wanting to book their
Hmm.
flights. And another one that's just emailed me saying that they want to do that booking, and it just doesn't really work because that's what your whole
Hmm.
day looks like. And just thinking back to when I was a consultant, yes, I agree. I never would have had the time to sit and watch a long form podcast either. And by the time that I'm done with that day and I've made my money and I've done my commission and all of that, that's not what that's the last thing I wanna be doing as well, is sitting there
Yeah.
and watch no matter how interesting it is, no matter who's on it. Um, I want to know what's going to directly impact me and my brand and my role.
Hmm.
Because we've got such a vast array of brands and different types of businesses within the Flight Centre group, um, we often find that people don't really want to know more than what's inside their actual brand and what's gonna affect them on
Hmm.
a day-to-day basis. I know that other comms people feel the same as me about this, but I do feel like email is still my favorite form of comms.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and I know other people within Flight Centre feel that way, and I know people within other companies also feel that way too. And if it doesn't go out on email, people just seem to miss it, and
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Um,
What's so
yeah,
interesting is that like leaders, um, it's very easy, especially when it comes to like communicating, that you can mistake your own preferences for what everyone else wants, which is probably the case with like podcasts, because like I have been in so many conversations where like even like at the beginning of the project, which is like, hey, we need like a platform that like does better podcasting and does better videos. And I actually worked with a customer who the ask was like, hey, we've got this like 2.5 hour video that we really want as many people to watch. Like, how can we get people to watch them? And I'm like, it's
gosh.
2.5 hours. And you have a predominantly frontline workforce. So like when do you think they're going to watch that? Which sounds crazy as you say it aloud, but there's definitely this kind of like tension between like people, when it comes to communicating, mistaking their own personal preferences or their own work day for like other people's work day. And I think that's probably the case with podcasts.
Yeah, of course, yeah, and yeah, of course, people like myself and other colleagues in support roles, yeah, probably do have time to watch a 30-minute podcast if we're lucky. But yeah, you've obviously got to really try not to forget the majority of the people that you're trying
Hmm.
to engage with. And yeah, definitely other formats are working better for us at the moment. So yeah, that is a trend that, I'm kind of ditching and divorcing at the moment. So,
Have you
yeah.
tried, has it been easy to ditch and divorce that, or has there been a lot of pushback?
Um, it's not really easy at the moment, no. There has been pushback because, I mean, ho honestly, I'm just a victim of my own success. What can I say? We've
This is it. Life is hard, isn't it?
no, it's because I just have so many different types of audience. So my senior leaders and my support leaders love a podcast, and they, like I said, and they've really enjoyed the content that we've been producing lately. And so we've just been doing basically like a spin-off of like the YouTube series, the hot ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Where they
And
eat like
we've gone,
really spicy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I put the lead in the hot seat, and I'm still kind of like, it's we've got have received brilliant feedback.
Okay.
But feedback from the people that are, that have time to watch it. It's not the
Yeah.
people that are on the front line.
Hmm.
So, and so the jury's out at the moment whether it is actually, successful or not. I don't know. For me, the leaders' feedback is, that's yeah, great, but I want to know how the majority of our people feel about it. Um, but it is fun. I mean,
Hmm.
making
Yeah. The hot
finding
ones is cool. So I feel like there's
yeah,
so many creative tactics out there. I
yeah.
feel like there's a lot of like experimentation. That's like a pretty cool one. I've seen some leaders do um recreate the Bohemian Rhapsody video. I've seen leaders.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, there's like so many different creative tactics out there, but you're right. They're like, it can be, um, if it's like not getting the engagement from the people you're trying to engage, then like it can be a distraction. And there's only so much time in the day, right?
It can be a distraction, yeah, definitely,
Hmm.
from the things that are actually going to move the needle. And, there's so much time involved with producing something like that. I mean, when you've got sometimes a pretty low budget,
Hmm.
you've got to record and edit these things yourself, which obviously
Mhm.
takes days. So
Yeah.
that's a whole resource that you're losing when you're using that resource to actually produce content that people are going to read. So
Yeah.
watch. So yeah.
I'm actually now really intrigued by the Hot Ones concept. Do they actually try different,
Yeah,
um
we've got the actual sources from the series, and
really?
yeah, we line them up, and we've had some big names on there. So we've done 3 episodes so far, and we last week we had Screw Turner, who is the founder of Flight Centre,
Oh,
back about 45 years ago. Um,
and he tried all the hot sauces, or how far did he get? I'm now bought in. You tried to convince me to not watch it, but I'm in.
yeah, I know, right? I mean, yeah, what can I do? I'm saying one thing and then doing another.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, he's in his 70s. He was over in the UK for the London Marathon ahead of that. Yeah, we decided to test his stomach, and yeah, he loved it. It was great.
Love that.
And yeah, he loves a glass of red wine as well. So he was washing down the chicken with the red wine, and it was very entertaining. Yeah.
That
See, it's such a great concept, isn't it? But
it is a great concept.
in
Yeah.
reality, I don't know.
Yeah.
The
So
data says otherwise.
do you put podcasts and video kind of in the same category?
No, no.
Okay.
I don't mind a short form video. That's fine.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of I kind of think that as well. So um I when I was asked for her advice on like how to get people to engage in this 2.5 hour long video, my advice was like you've just got to like take the highlights and put it into like real style stuff, I think. Because like
Mm.
that's really like there's no way that anyone can, I mean, I can't pay attention 2.5 minutes, let alone 2.5 hours.
And Instagram for work, like Instagram stories are the best way for me to digest information. So
Yeah, yeah,
um,
love it.
yeah. Anyway,
So I want to move on to our not hot ones section, but hot takes section.
yeah.
um, and ask a little bit about kind of what you think about the industry, maybe the profession as well. I'm going to start with kind of like hidden skills. And are there any particular skills that you think are maybe like undervalued or underrepresented in the profession?
In the profession, probably not just the profession, but in the workplace as a whole.
Oh, yeah.
Introversion definitely is my superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely know other comms leaders who have said the same, but it definitely rings true. And I think it's super undervalued. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm used to working in such high energy organizations.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a massive bias towards, I think, hiring, or at least putting the spotlight on the loudest voice like in the room, basically. And that's very true. I mean, even as a comms leader, I tend to gravitate towards that loudest voice in the room sometimes. And yeah, that person will be great to feature in this. And
Yeah.
uh, but I think introverts bring so much to the table,
Hmm.
and people to overlook those things. So I think they're often packaged with high emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
uh, very deep listening skills, um, and a real unique way of sort of sensing, like gathering underlying sentiment for
Hmm.
the way people are feeling, which are all obviously massive
Yeah,
for internal comms,
for sure.
but just leaders in general need to be excel in all of those areas.
Mhm.
So
Love that. I think those deep listening skills are like super important. I think that if you're, this is probably going to sound rich coming from me, but if you're too busy talking, then, then like you're not listening, or sometimes people are listening to talk. So, yeah, I think like it is underrated just to have those more like calm, cool, collected, like deep listening skills.
yeah, definitely. And I've had leaders even like point out in the past, like, oh, why is this person in comms? They're so introverted. I'm like, that is the best skill. Like that is the best superpower.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
I'm a bit of an extroverted introvert, so people don't necessarily know that I'm a bit of an introvert, but
Hmm.
so they'll say it to me, but I'll be like, "Nope, I'm 100%." Like that is, yeah, that's you need those skills.
Yeah.
You need that.
We
So
had that conversation at that Gallagher conference as well, and like that taught me a bit about like trying to understand the kind of like mindset there, and also just makes you generally more inquisitive.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, which I love. What's one piece of advice you wish you'd known at the start of your career?
If I could go back to Rachel when she was first starting that job at Atlantis Dubai in Dubai, I would
Hmm.
say, and my boss kept saying it to me at the time as well, but I didn't listen. They've not to say yes to everything, and I think everybody says this, don't they? But not to say
Yeah.
yes to everything, especially I know early in your career, you want to obviously be on the good side of people and
Hmm.
you want to build those relationships, which is
Uh-huh.
super important. I don't think we would have navigated ourselves around that resort on that day if didn't have the relationships that I'd built.
Yeah.
And but it can become your downfall.
Yeah.
It can cause extreme burnout.
Yeah.
And I've learned that the hard way. And yeah, you can quickly become the person that just does everything,
Hmm.
from organizing people's birthdays, for God's sake, to
Yeah.
and that just doesn't leave space for the work that, like I said before, that moves the needle and
Hmm.
um, yeah, makes the highest level of impact. I would tell Rachel back then to be really, really intentional with where to put her time.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I can always take that advice as well. Yeah.
Definitely, and now that I'm just older as well, and I'm not that old, but, now that I've got more responsibilities outside of work as well, I've got to be really intentional with my time and how I make the biggest impact at work because there's only a finite number of hours in that day, and I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
staying there, so and I'm gonna be out of there to do
Hmm.
my second job as a mum, so,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to be really, yeah, really intentional.
Nice. And what's one concept? Oh, so this is like this Room 101 type idea. I don't know if you remember the show.
I
But
do.
it's like one concept from like the workplace that you would want to like put in EX Room 101. So like put in the trash basically. It can't be podcast because you've already put that in there.
Yeah, I can't re-podcast. Okay, no, it's fine.
Just put it in there twice. Yeah. There's no way it's coming out. It's just going deeper into Room 101.
Coming back. Um, no, I love a podcast, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Not at work anymore. No, I would probably I don't know if this is just like an excuse or covering up my lack of time and attention that I've put to this, but engagement metrics
Mm,
is something that is important. But we can become maybe it depends on the type of person you are, but you can become a bit obsessed with click
mm,
rates and open rates and things sometimes.
mhm,
Um, and I have spent not enough time focusing on those in the past 12 months. However,
mhm.
that's okay. And maybe I'm just trying to reassure myself, but
Yeah, yeah,
um,
I think that's fine.
um, but they don't really tell you what people are actually like necessarily thinking and feeling. It's just what they felt in that one moment,
Mm, yeah,
when that email came through, and maybe that wasn't the right time for them to read that email, or you know what I mean? Like, just we're only knowing a little bit of data for that exact second that you're focusing
yeah,
on. So you can have, and likewise, sort of on the other hand, you can have great engagement metrics, but then you can completely not understand, yeah, how people are feeling and
yeah, it
not
doesn't tell
not
the full
not
story for
doesn't
sure.
tell the full story. If there's misalignment or distrust, you're not
Yeah,
really going to get that from those doing that monthly. Although I do think there is a place for it.
mhm.
Now I'm going to put those into room 101, because
Yes.
I think we need to evolve beyond just measuring those basic interactions.
Yeah, we call them like vanity metrics at Unity as well. So like whenever we're building
Totally.
something, we're trying to like make sure that like we have less of those vanity metrics and more of things that actually like tell a better story. So I'm with you. I support your Room 101 submission. So for our final question, it's actually a question from our last guest, and she wants to know what's your communication superpower, something that you like to uniquely own that's very you.
Um, It's kind of relates back to the whole introversion thing. So
Hmm.
when you're a deep listener and you've got the high EQ, you become really good at sort of sitting back and spotting different patterns
Hmm.
and So you spot like recurring themes in feedback that come up on a regular basis, and like different signals from people in meetings. It's very easy to spot when like somebody's or sort of like being able to listen for
Mhm.
what's not being said in a
Mhm.
way. Uh, so hearing the gaps and the hesitations and the silence, and definitely when people are sort of switching off, you could feel when something is off.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that is like a really important skill as well because like it can be easy to be distracted by what people are saying in the text itself, but like what's the subtext and like what are people really thinking and feeling because that's what you want to tune into. So I think that's a great superpower.
And what are they not saying? What are they avoiding? What topics are
Hmm.
they avoiding? And yeah, how do you then dig that information out of them? And how do you be the best interviewer you can be, I suppose, in those
Hmm.
situations like yourself?
Yes, yeah, love that. And so that pretty much brings us to a close. But what would you like to have as your question to our next guest?
So I was going to ask, what is the last thing, or at least the most memorable thing, that a leader has sort of asked you to sort of create or roll out that you just didn't believe in at all?
Amazing. Love that. Thank you, Rachel. If you enjoyed that episode, then remember to click to subscribe because there's much more where that came from. And let us know in the comments which bits you enjoyed and found super insightful. Also, if you would like to be part of the EX conversation and feature on the podcast, then please get in touch.